My name is Bickle, Bernard Bickle. I am rather well known as a space traveller, and also an authority of some standing in the field of symbological euphonics, the study of alien musics on the many far worlds scattered about this galaxy of ours. I have been commissioned by Dame Isabel Grace, the eminent Secretary-Treasurer of the Opera League, to recount the history of our recent little adventure in space, when we endeavoured to bring the finest music of Earth to the attention of the inhabitants of a number of these far worlds. Dame Isabel is anxious to dispel the rumours that have surfaced as tittle-tattle and gossip in journalistic circles. I shall not omit recounting the several awkward instances that befell us. There were various levels of understanding. Yes. Our story begins at the opera. Dame Isabel is in her private box, discussing the program that will shortly be presented. A ballet by the 9th Troop, a dance group brought to Earth by the enterprising space captain Adolf Gondar from the distant planet Rularu. Dame Isabel is as usual accompanied by her favourite nephew, Roger Wool, and an admiring group of music critics, but the critics are dubious regarding Gondar.
It is our business to be sceptical. Who ever heard of a credulous critic?
My objections are based partly on musical theory and partly on an informed layman's knowledge of the galaxy. I find it hard to believe that an alien race could employ a comprehensible musical idiom. And also, I have never heard of the planet Raru, which presumably exhibits a highly advanced civilization.
You are a fool.
Unfair, unfair. We are all poor mortals pushing through our various dark thickets. Bernard Bickle, who probably knows...
Don't mention that name to me. He is an opinionated poser, completely superficial.
He is probably the world's leading authority on comparative musicology. We cannot help but be influenced by his views.
The curtain rises on stage. The Rularu 9th Ballet Troupe perform a fete champêtre in garments of pink, green, yellow, and blue, engaging hybrids of fairies and harlequins, apparently aimless motion, curtsies, caperings, and canterings. Then a flash of dazzling blue-green light reveals the players in frozen attitudes of attention and inquiry. Just the curtain.
Clever, though inchoate.
I note a certain absence of discipline, praiseworthy exuberance, an attempt to break away from traditional forms, but as you say, inchoate.
Good evening, Madam Grace. Thank you for your invitation. Good evening to you too, sir.
A pair of buffoons. Come, Roger.
I believe I will leave you here. I have an engagement.
You have nothing of the sort. You are driving me to Lillian Monteagle's supper party.
I had not attended the ballet, but I had always enjoyed being lionized at Lillian Monteagle's parties. As we waltzed around, the conversation was entirely about Gondar's Rollaro ballet. Perhaps I pontificated somewhat more than usual. And it was this that prompted Dame Isabel's grand idea.
I was absolutely thrilled, my dear, oh Mr. Beagle, my dear.
Foolish folk want to pay him. Why should he not take the money? Why should he not take the money?
You're being dreadfully unfair. You haven't even gone to one performance. My dear, oh Mr. Beagle, my dear, Mr. Beagle, Mr. Beagle. But Mr. Beagle, 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 but Mr. Beagle.
Dear Mr. Bickle, you sound as if you doubted the authenticity of this troupe.
I say this much. I have never heard of the planet Rollaro, or however it's pronounced, and as you know, I have travelled space a great deal.
But Mr. Bickle, I think you're being dreadfully unfair. You haven't even gone to one of their performances. I have, and I was absolutely thrilled.
Adolf Gondar, whoever or whatever he may be, undoubtedly is a fantastically good showman.
Oh, I must take issue with you. Adolf Gondar is totally inept as a showman, though he is probably a competent captain of spaceships, for this is his trade.
No, this would, of course, lend colour to his claims. As for myself, modesty aside, I am close to top of a field that has been called comparative musicology or symbological euphonics, or just plain musicology, and I simply refuse to be hornswoggled by the mysterious Adolf Gondar. His music is comprehensible, which is the giveaway. Music is like a language. You cannot understand it unless you learn it, or more accurately, are born into it.
Do you refuse to believe in that sensitive and artistic creatures of one world are unable to comprehend the artistic efforts, including the music, equally sensitive and artistic
course not. Not at all. Not at all. I recall an amusing adventure. An amusing adventure. On Capella's fourth planet. A miserable little world, incidentally. If anyone is planning a visit, take my advice, don't. At any rate, I had joined the mineral survey team, which was making a swing through the back country. One night we camped near a tribe of the natives, the Bidrachate Dendry camps. As you're all aware, Bidrachate Dendry camps. Well, they're rather decent creatures, about 5 feet tall, with a heavy black fur. They're 2 little legs, and what's under the fur is anybody's guess. Be this as it may, after we set up camp, about 30 cabs came to visit us, For a lark, I started up my portable music player. I tell you, the cab sat absolutely entranced for 3 hours, not moving a muscle.
It's rather touching, probably the first good music they had ever heard.
Did these cabs show any, well, call it any understanding or appreciation?
Let me put it this way. Sure, they missed the point of the Brandenburg concerto. They listened with the same attention they gave the Nutcracker Suite.
I'm not sure I completely understand. You acknowledge the universality of music?
Oh, to some extent, if certain conditions are satisfied. Music is a communication, emotional communication to be sure. And this implies agreement as to the context of the symbology. Do you follow me?
Naturally.
I am secretary treasurer of the Opera League. If I knew nothing of music, I would hardly be allowed to continue in this capacity.
Indeed, the point I wish to make is this. a totally strange planet. Using instruments similar to our own, I merely find it hard to believe, musical symbols of an alien race could mesh so completely with our own as to affect us emotionally. Is this not reasonable? Is this not reasonable?
Very reasonable. So reasonable as to indicate a flagrant fallacy in your chain of logic. The facts are these. I personally have sponsored Mr. Gondar. I am in full financial control of the tour of the Ninth Company, and I am not a woman to be fooled. I suggest you attend a performance. You may, if you like, join me in my box tomorrow.
I shall look into my appointments, and if at all possible, I shall do so.
Excuse me, madam. Mr. Gondar is here. An urgent message.
Well, Adolphe, what is the trouble?
The Ninth Company has disappeared.
The next morning, in the sober light of day, Captain Gondar reports to Dame Isabel in the drawing room of her beautiful old home, the magnificent Belleau. Dame Isabel's ancestral home was exquisite. The sun shone through the long, elegant windows, looking onto the beautifully kept lawns.
After the performance, I escorted the troupe up to the theatre penthouse. They fed themselves and seemed comfortably settled for the night. When I looked in later, they had disappeared.
had seen no one leave. The deck attendant swears no vehicles arrived or departed.
This is a serious business, a serious business, one in which my personal reputation is involved. My reputation is involved. I must say I am not completely satisfied.
Why shouldn't you be? You've got every cent we paid in the last 3 months.
It appears my precautions were absolutely in order.
I will be happy to end our association. You need merely turn over to me my money.
I will do nothing of the sort.
Turn over to me my money. Turn it over.
Complete frankness has not existed.
Turn over to me my money. Merely turn over to me my money. Turn over to me my money. Turn over to me my money.
Complete frankness has not
Turn
existed.
over to me my
Refuse to
money.
release the money. I refuse to release the money. Why did they disappear? Where are they now?
In my opinion, they've returned home.
Turlaru.
Yes, I don't know how. I don't know how. These people are adept in all sorts of techniques and sciences we know nothing about. I think they decided to go home and went
By some psychic process, I assume.
I wish I knew. I'd use it myself. On Laru, I've seen things I can't describe. Musical productions which are absolutely overwhelming. Operas, I suppose you'd call them. The Ninth Company is what you'd call light, is what you'd call light. In my opinion, they have returned to Laru by some means beyond. beyond my knowledge. They've returned to Laru by some means beyond my knowledge. On Laru I've seen things I can't describe. Musical productions which are absolutely overwhelming. Operas, I suppose you'd call them. The Ninth Company is what you'd call light, is what you'd call light.
What inducements did you offer the Ninth Company to persuade them to visit Earth?
I was on Rolaru for about 4 months. I learned something of the language. When I saw the quality of the performances, I mentioned that on Earth we had similar activities and that perhaps we could effect a cultural exchange program. No difficulties were made. I brought the Ninth Company to Earth and in due course proposed to take an Earth group to Rolaru.
There's a highly developed science on the planet?
I wouldn't say that. Things aren't quite that simple. No one seems to work so hard. The aristocrats are the musicians and the pantomimists. At the bottom, a class of vagrants, no talent, indigents.
You did not explore very thoroughly.
I was given to understand that it wasn't, well, safe to go everywhere. No one told me why.
Well, this is highly interesting. The Opera League is meeting tonight. I shall report what you have told me and recommend that the cultural exchange program be kept up.
I'm not so sure that it's a feasible project. In fact, now that I think of it, for reasons of my own, I do not care to leave Earth. Not at the present time.
Mr. Gondar, I am never ambiguous or untruthful. And I demand that everyone I deal with act in a similar manner. You made the assertion that the Ninth Company of Rolaru came to Earth as half of a cultural exchange scheme.
Yes, of course, but...
Is this statement true or untrue?
Naturally, it's true.
If
However...
it is true, the obligation is definite. Those persons who are attacking our good faith must be refuted. By arranging a visit to Rolaru by a group of representative musicians, or if necessary, by turning the money over to some worthy charity. Do you not agree?
Very well. Organize your tour.
A week later, I was invited to Bellew as Roger Wool's guest. Roger was a likeable, but rather lackadaisical young man.
I'm not so sure that it's a feasible project. The problems, the details, the headaches, the expenses. She'll spend millions without the worlds along the way to Raro. You yourself have influenced her with your description of the light-dragging recaps, listening to music from your player. But it's all so ridiculous, those particular creatures. For merely wondering how I managed to confine so many insects, which locally produce loud, shrill noises, into so small a box. Your aunt's concept, excuse me if I speak frankly, is idiotic, is idiotic. Magnificent place, absolutely baronial. It must be hundreds of years old. She's been strongly influenced by your remarks. She's been strongly influenced by your remarks. It must be hundreds of years old. Some way to set my arms straight. It must be hundreds of some way to set my arms straight. It must be hundreds some way to set my arms straight. This is a beautiful place, which will be mine someday. I don't want to find it sold at auction. You'll probably find her on the Rose Terrace.
Good news indeed. Mr. Bickle has agreed to join our little tour among the planets. He'll be musical consultant at an exorbitant salary, I'm sorry to say. But we will have his specialized knowledge to guide us.
I will be utterly honest. You could not have hired a better man.
Roger, are you not staying for dinner?
The tour preparations were soon in full swing. At the spaceport, the ship Phoebus is being loaded with a transportable opera stage and large numbers of musicians and singers under the command of Maestro Sir Henry Rixon. Dame Isabel inspects the company. Roger is having a severe attack of blues. Suddenly, he is approached by a very pretty girl.
That lady over there. Is she Dame Isabel Grace?
Yes, indeed. You are absolutely correct. You couldn't be more so.
And who is that man talking to her?
That's Mr. Bickle, a musical expert, or so he fancies himself.
And are you a musician?
Yes, in a way.
Oh, really?
Yes, indeed. I play well, I'm one of those all-round types. Who are you?
That's a question I can't answer, because I'm not absolutely sure. But I'll tell you my name. if you'll tell me yours.
I'm Roger Wall.
You're associated with Dame Isabel Grace?
She's my aunt.
Indeed. And you're going on this expedition out among the planets? I'd like to travel space too.
You haven't told me your name.
It's a strange name. From Wales, Meirionydd. Though I'm the only one left. Maddock Roswyn.
I know what. I'll take you out to lunch and you can tell me all about yourself.
Roger takes Maddock off. The spaceship crew, musicians and opera singers break for lunch. A few eat their sandwiches on low benches while a few dance in pairs. An old couple take the floor briefly, and then a young couple dance a delicate pas de deux. Roger returns from his tete-a-tete. He is now holding Maddock by the hand.
I've only known you 2 hours, but it feels like I feel as if it's been
Like you
2 hours, but it feels like
seems so undemanding. I'll miss you. I'll miss you when you are gone in space.
if only Aunt Isabel wasn't such an odd little creature. We could both go. We could both go.
That'd be wonderful, but it won't happen. It won't happen.
It can and it will. Just leave it to me. Just leave it to me.
I'm so excited.
Just leave it to
I'm
me.
so excited.
Just leave it to me.
Roger, behave yourself. You're the most hot-blooded thing.
Let's get married.
Oh,
Let's get
Roger,
married. Let's
I'm
get
so
married. Let's get married. Let's get married. Let's get married.
I'm
Let's
so
get married. Let's get
excited.
married.
If necessary, I'll get you on board as a stowaway. You will marry me, won't you?
On board the Phoebus in space, the mess deck breakfast queue as the ship's company shuffle along with their trays. Roger Wool queues for his breakfast and then disappears to his room. Then he reappears and queues again for second helpings.
Here's a man with a good appetite. I happen to be hungry. I can't see where you store all that grub. You don't have the look of a big eater.
Dame Isabel is suffering badly from space sickness. She has summoned Roger to her cabin. He enters, escorted by a security officer.
I have several things to say to you. I preface them by remark to the effect that of all human failings I find ingratitude among the most despicable. Do I make myself clear?
If you are speaking in a general sense, yes.
To particularize, I allude to the presence of your paramour aboard the ship. Do not interrupt! When I ended my days, I had planned disclosures of this last hour. Force me to alter my intentions. Our first port of call is Sirius planet. And then you and that woman will be put to shore.
Aunt Isabel, let me explain. Things are not what they
Your
seem.
paramour is in Captain Gondar's custody. I believe he has improvised a brig from a storage locker. You are lucky you are not treated like whites. Now leave me. It is a shame. It is a shame that together with this dreadful space sickness, this dreadful space sickness, I must be burdened with the impudicities of my nephew.
She is not my paramour. She is my fiancée. And not for lack of trying either. She has absolutely refused to let me more than kiss her cheek until we are married, which I hope will be soon. I have heard tales. I have heard tales about you when you were younger. If he is younger, and if they are true, Miss Roswin stowing away is absolutely trivial. Absolutely trivial. Absolutely trivial. Absolutely trivial.
What sort of dear, you impudent whelp!
Roger is frog-marched out by the security men. On Captain Gondar's bridge. The captain is at the helm. Maddock Roswin is seated with him. Roger enters. He looks at Maddock, who ignores him. He approaches the captain.
I understand that my aunt has placed Miss Roswin in your custody.
That is correct, Mr. Wool.
Will you allow me to have a few private words with her?
If Miss Roswin is willing to talk with you, it's certainly agreeable to me.
Please, Mr. Wool, say what you want to say, and then...
Darling, what's wrong?
What's wrong? The mess you've got me in. The things you said about me, it's a wonder I have a shred of reputation left.
I don't understand. I've merely...
Nearly got me in the worst trouble I've ever been in. I'm thankful I know you for the selfish blunderer you are before you did worse than you've done. Now please go, and never speak to me again.
Again in Dame Isabel's cabin. The ship's engines are running smoother, but Dame Isabel is still suffering. Captain Gondar enters.
Yes, Captain, how is everything going?
Everything seems first rate, madam. I've made arrangements in regard to the young lady whom I fear your nephew has attempted to victimize.
What? Roger? Victimise anyone except me? Certainly not that devious little trollop.
Eventually you'll hear the full truth, madam. In the meantime, the young lady is not only filled with remorse, but wants to make amends for the trouble she has unwittingly caused. Mr. Wool tricked her aboard. She was drugged and locked in a storage closet. Mr. Wool made periodic attempts to assault her, but without success.
If it's true, though I doubt it, it's about the level of competence I would expect of Roger. He has a girl locked in a closet, drugged and helpless, and still she fends him off. Well, poor Roger.
The young lady learned that you were suffering from space sickness. She tells me she knows a specific cure and will be happy to help you.
The way I feel, I'd take help from the devil himself. What is this cure?
To celebrate the imminent arrival of the spaceship Phoebus on planet Sirius, a champagne party has been organised for the entire company on the mess deck.
The sun becomes a star. With Sirius, a brighter star.
Phoebus, encapsulated in non-stop, like a whirling and
With the speed of thought, we musicians occupy ourselves with practice. Vocalists with exercises and rehearsals.
Then are the inevitable outbreaks of temperament, formation and dissolution of peace. Several romances,
As many quarrels,
a spate of gossip,
innuendo and caustic comment. And by these means, the rubbish of space sickness for the most part avoided. I am very...
I am very pleased by the manner in which everyone has adapted to the circumstances of the voyage. Ahead of us lies Sirius and Sirius Planet, which for most of us will be a first venture on an alien world. There is flora and fauna, unlike anything with which we are familiar. And in fact, the words flora and fauna are probably misnomers, as many of the Sirius life forms fit neither category or fit them both. There is an intelligent native population, which is of course the reason for our visit. Mr. Bickle will tell us more about the natives, who happen to live in caves and potholes. We must be careful to avoid parochialism. It is possible the Byzantors, as this race is called, regard us as primitive. I have given a good deal of thought to the choice of our first programme. We want to communicate with our audience, but still hold our artistic integrity at its highest levels. To this end, we must select works which offer the largest possible number of situations with which they can identify their own existence. I have decided that Fidelio will be our first offering, since much of the action occurs in a dungeon, not unlike the blowholes in which the Byzantors live.
I can fill in one or two details regarding the Byzantors, as the Sirius natives are known, as I have had occasion to visit Sirius 3, or is it 4 times previously. In any event, I know Commandant Bolson at the settlement well, and look forward to renewing our acquaintance. Sirius Planet is a rather dim place, about as bright as an Earth twilight. One's eyes rapidly adapt, and the landscape takes on a weird charm. We land at Sirius Settlement, and nearby live the royal giant Byzantors, probably the most civilized tribe on the planet. Like the landscape, I fear they will seem initially ugly to your eyes, and they are certainly not anthropoid. They have 4 arms and 4 legs, and what appear to be 2 heads, but these latter simply contain the sense organs, as the brain is in the body itself. In spite of their nightmarish appearance, they are responsive creatures, quite ready to adapt those human manners, methods, and institutions which seem useful to them. We may be able to implant some glimmer of our musical heritage into a people curiously deficient in this regard. Who knows? Perhaps our visit will trigger a complete revolution in the lives of the Byzantors. Sunrise on Sirius Planet. Sirius shines with a cool white glare on the bare expanse of the spaceport parade ground, where the company is at attention before a high podium on which stand the black-clad figure of my old friend the Commandant, flanked by the very large grotesque that is a Zant. The Commandant, lovely as ever in tight black leather, trips down from the podium to inspect the parade.
I'm Dyrus Bolton, Commandant. Welcome to Sirius Settlement. It doesn't look like much at first sight, and believe me, it gets worse.
Master of the ship. Master of the ship, this is James of the Grace and Mr. Bernard Bickle, whom I believe you know.
Yes, of course. Hello, Bickle. Nice to see you again.
These other folk I won't introduce, but they are all famous musicians and opera singers.
As I understand it, to stage an opera for the Byzantines. One of my responsibilities is to prevent abuse or exploitation of the Zants. I don't see how showing them an opera can hurt them.
And not just an opera, Fidelio.
And not just an opera, Fidelio. Yes, Fidelio.
You don't plan to charge admission, because if you do, you're in for a disappointment. The Zants have no commercial sense whatever.
If necessary, our performances will be staged free of charge.
The parade is dismissed. A tea table is brought and tea is served to Dame Isabel, Captain Gondar, and Commandant Dyrus Bolson, accompanied by the monstrous Zant. Bolson explains the Zant's strange taboos and invites them to attend the opera production.
The Zants are intelligent. No question about this, but they use their intelligence in connection with their own pursuits. Friend Zant, friend Zant. Here are people from the sky. Here are people from the sky. They come in big ship, big ship. They like to show friend Zants many pretty things, many pretty things. They come in big ship. They like to show friend Zants many pretty things. They like friend Zant to come to ship. Okay, okay.
Maybe okay. We go to look for yellow, no good Zants. For yellow, no good Zants.
They dislike coming up from their tunnels. They feel it's demeaning and gives them low social standing. They eject their criminals. They eject
While I enjoy a chat to catch up with Diarist Bolson, Roger sees Maddock being very friendly with the handsome astrogator Logan de Appling.
Gonda is a hard man, my darling.
Please don't call me that.
He's self-centered and unprincipled. I know, I've seen him in action.
Don't say things like that. He's helping me stay aboard the ship. He's helping me stay aboard the ship.
Why is it so important? Why is it so important you make the trip?
I just want to, I suppose. Would you like me to get off? Now, Logan, don't be so impulsive. Let's just watch the lovely Sirius rise. Isn't it magnificent? So strange and lovely. It's so strange and lovely.
You really think we can make ourselves comprehensible to the Byzantors? They seem completely non-human in their attitudes.
In certain ways, yes. Sometimes I wonder at how closely our judgments mesh. I'll say this, if you want to present a programme that the Zants can relate to, you're going to have to take them on their own terms.
Naturally. We are prepared to do so. Can you offer us any suggestions?
I believe I can. Let me see. An obvious matter is colour, to which they are highly sensitive. Yellow is the colour of rogues and outcasts, so the unsympathetic characters should wear yellow. There is the matter of sex. Love, romance, whatever you want to call it. Love, romance, whatever. The Zants have peculiar reproductive habits. Their sex play is a matter of spring. The intended mate with a viscous fluid. I doubt if you wish to carry similitude to this extent.
Probably not.
Well, let's think further. As I recall, Fidelio, are not certain scenes played in a dungeon?
Quite correct. Almost the whole of Act 2.
You you must remember that a dungeon is a cherished home to the Zants. The deranged, the troublemakers are expelled to the plain, where they roam in bands. Incidentally, warn your company not to wander off by themselves.
Well, well, well. I suppose we can make some changes easily enough. Act 1 in the dungeon, and Act 2 in the open.
Then there's also costuming. Do you know what the Zants call us in their own language? Sky lice. Exactly. If you costumed your sky lice players to resemble Zants, you'd command a much higher degree of attention.
Where in the world will we get such costumes?
I have some tanned Byzantor pelts in the warehouse. If you like, I'll have them brought to the ship. To a successful performance.
Sirius is tranquil and beautiful at sunset. Maddock is again canoodling with the handsome astrogator Logan de Appling as eerie noises emerge from the undergrowth. Roger sees and despairs. In the cold light of morning, the singers arrive one by one to prepare for Fidelio. They warm up their voices, then try on their Zant costumes, the pelts provided by the commandant.
You surely do not expect us to wear those things!
Yes, of course. It is a concession to the social sensibilities of our audience.
Perhaps you will inform me how I can express myself with 4 arms, and how, conceivably how, can I achieve a projection behind these wads and folds?
The skins smell quite badly. I think the whole idea is ridiculous.
There will be no argument. These are the costumes for the performance, and I will brook no insubordination. Your contracts are quite specific on this point. You are not required to risk your health, but a certain amount of discomfort must be expected and tolerated cheerfully. I will not put up with temperamental outbursts. Now then, everyone, the word dungeon is not to be used. we substitute the word desert.
What difference does it make? We sing in German which the local beast can't understand in the first place.
Our aim, Mr. Scantling, is for faithfulness, for a basic intensity. If the scene represents a desert, which it now does, then a falsity is committed in referring to this desert as a dungeon, even in German. Do I make myself clear?
The meter is changed. Die Wüste der Bügverlies.
You must do your best.
Sorry, but I'll have to miss the performance. We've got to look to some unpleasant business. A band of rogues has been seen heading this way, and we have to turn them aside before they make trouble.
That's a shame, after you've done so much to help. You did arrange that the local folk should come to the performance.
Oh, yes, they know all about it, and at 3 o'clock they'll be here. With luck, I'll be back for the last act.
Maybe the Zants are waiting for someone to bring them over. They're a bit dubious of the open ground, if you recall what Bolson told us. I'll find them and fetch them over. Alas, my enthusiasm led to a most unfortunate occurrence. By mistake, I encountered not the intended audience of dignitaries, but instead the band of rogues and outcasts. It was these I led unwittingly to their seats in the auditorium. The singers retire to the wings, leaving Dame Isabel alone on the stage with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to our little performance. You are about to see the opera Fidelio by Ludwig van Beethoven, one of our most accomplished composers. We bring you this programme in the hope that some of you may wish to learn more about the great music of Earth.
verse, the rogues sit in stunned silence as their honour is insulted by the cast in the pelts of their ancestors, and the solo soprano waving a blasphemous yellow scarf. Bolson bursts in and is aghast, but too late. Zants surge out of their seats, hurl missiles and storm the stage to grapple with the cast. The soprano faints dead away. Roger Wool and Captain Gondar counter-attack with fire hoses. And finally drive out the Zants. Phoebus is once more in space. In Dame Isabel's cabin, where she suffers anew from space sickness, she is planning the next leg of the trip with Captain Gondar and myself. We must definitely avoid the mistakes we made on Sirius Planet.
According to our itinerary, we will next visit Zaid, the second planet of Phi Orionis. I understand that the autochthones are definitely humanoid. Is that not so, Bernard?
I have not visited the world myself, but I am told the inhabitants of Zaid are not only humanoid in appearance, but also display cultural traits analogous to our own, including art forms based on a modulation of sound, which is to say, music.
Zaid it is, then. I presume, Captain, that our route will not take us too far afield from Rularu.
No difficulty there. Phi Orion is in the general direction, but I have a suggestion.
Yes?
I recall mention of a planet in Hydra named Yarn, inhabited by very musical people. It's a world which has hardly been visited by man, and I understand it's extremely advanced artistically. Just the place for you to take your troop, or so it seems to me.
Our present itinerary, according to you, takes us towards Rularu. Is this not correct?
Yes, indeed, absolutely correct.
Come to think of it, Gondar, don't you think it's about time you let us in on the location of Rularu?
Better that I keep my own counsel, for a very good reason.
But suppose something happened to you. then we'd be unable to find Rularu, which is our principal goal.
I fail to understand your reluctance to trust us. You certainly can't believe that we would attempt to bamboozle you.
Of course not. And I'm sorry if I gave that impression.
Why then are you so unnaturally cautious?
I'll be quite frank. You put matters on the basis of trust, but your demands for information make it quite clear that you do not trust me. This arouses in me a counter-distrust. You control a great deal of money which is rightfully mine, and this is leverage which you exert on me. I have information you want, and this is my leverage upon you. You are asking me to give up my leverage to put myself in your power without making a corresponding concession.
What you say may be sensible on Earth, but out here, en route to Rularu, what do you gain? Both Mr. Bickle and I are persons of honour. I can't imagine us, for the sake of argument, marooning you, or to be really melodramatic, causing your death.
Stranger things have happened. When the time comes, I will take you to Rularu. When the time comes, I hope that you in your turn will give me my money. Now, as to the matter of the planet I mentioned, I believe a visit to this planet would be highly rewarding.
We would be forced to make a tedious detour.
A slight detour, perhaps, but a very rewarding one. An old explorer described it to me. Ever since, I have wanted to visit this planet.
You must do so on some other occasion. Our current itinerary is already established. We cannot jerk here and there about the galaxy to satisfy one person's whim. Kindly inform the astrogator that our immediate destination is Zaid, second planet of Phi Orionis.
Odd. Why in the name of all the lesser demons is Gondor so anxious to visit this particular world?
It makes small difference, since we shall not be doing so.
The rehearsal area is dimly lit. Maddox Roswin is sitting alone when Roger enters.
I wish you'd tell me why you acted the way you did. Told those terrible stories about me.
It seemed a good thing at the time. You must recognise, Roger, that I am fickle and perverse. Not at all the girl you thought I was.
I can't escape the feeling that you were using me, but to what end I can't imagine. Once I thought you were fond of me. If you were, if you still are, for heaven's sake tell me, and we'll clear up this terrible misunderstanding. I wish you'd tell me why you acted that way. As if I'd ever force you to do anything against your will.
There's no misunderstanding, Roger.
How can anyone so beautiful, so sensitive, so clever, be so faithless? I can't understand.
It's not necessary that you understand, Roger.
Roger leaves disconsolately. The ship, once again encapsulated in non-stuff like a worm in an oak gall, slides onward through space towards the star Phi Orionis and its planet, Zaid. The opera cast join Maddox in the rehearsal area as they prepare for landing.
significant process is evidently underway.
Down on planet Zaid, we meet in Dame Isabel's cabin with Darwin Litchley, a guide and interpreter.
The natives of Zaid are by and large neither hostile nor uncooperative. They are simply unpredictable. There are at least 16 variations of intelligent species, much more disparate than the races of man, and with their differences of colour and anatomy go cultural differences. I couldn't even begin to generalise on them.
There are humanoid people?
Oh yes, indeed. No question about that. From a distance of 100 yards, you can hardly distinguish one from a man.
And I understand they are, in a sense, artists. That is to say, they understand the creative process, the sublimation of fact to symbol, and the use of symbol to suggest emotion.
Absolutely. Though here again, there is great diversity of ways and means. One of the peculiar facts of life on Zaid is the lack of cultural interchange. Each tribe, except for the occasional slave raid, takes very little notice of its neighbours. In general, the folk of Zaid are no more and no less to be feared than the people of Earth. And herein lies the unpredictability of Zaid.
We are not exactly greenhorns, and naturally we will make every conceivable allowance for native peculiarities.
I would be happy if you could arrange a suitable itinerary for us, so that we could play before those tribes which would profit the most.
I can suggest an itinerary. I cannot arrange one. Our situation here by no means affords us automatic respect. Certain of the tribes are sure Earth is a place of desolation and misery. You have explained your objectives, and while I applaud them in the abstract, I fear that problems of a lower level, the sheer ponderosity of the project, are almost certain to cause misunderstanding and difficulty.
You are a peculiarly confident man, Mr. Litchley. After weeks of meticulous planning, dedicated rehearsals, and not inconsiderable expense, as well as a voyage across many miles of space, we are finally here on Zaid, prepared to present our programme. You now make your pessimistic enunciations, and apparently envision us reeling back in doubt and dismay, abandoning all our plans and returning to Earth.
Madam, you misunderstand me. I merely hope to present a realistic picture, in order that you should have no reason to reproach me later for irresponsibility. The peoples of Zaid, while intelligent, are rather narrow in their perspective, and some are both uncertain and unreliable, and even volatile.
Very well, you have made your point. Now, let us examine the maps I see you have brought.
We are here. I have described the extreme diversity of the local Aborigines. The Striads of the Tertiary zone are perhaps as good as any to visit first, and undoubtedly they are a picturesque folk, highly expert in the use of sound, which they project from an organ unique to them.
Very well. Yes. We shall present Mozart's magic flute to the Striads. There will be no tampering or adjustment. It smacks somehow of condescension to make these unpleasant little compromises.
I recommend you next visit the water folk. They have a highly developed music, in a tradition at least 10,000 years old. They are true experts, all with perfect pitch. And they will recognise offhand any chord you can play in any of its inversions. You wanted to meet a musically sophisticated people, and here they are.
This is good news indeed. I fancy we can show them something they haven't seen before. Next, we shall present Alban Berg's Wozzeck to the waterfolk.
Darwin literally had recommended the Striads. Yes. The stage is set as Sarastro's temple from Magic Flute as Papageno and Pamina approach. The audience of Striads file in and sit in complete silence. Striad jumps up and grabs the conductor's baton, abruptly bringing the opera to a halt. Darwin literally translates the words the Striad mutters in her ears.
Okay. There seems to be a slight mistake, a certain degree of misunderstanding. They seem to have mistaken the Phoebus for a commercial mission. They are willing to place a firm order for 2 oboists and a coloratura.
Darwin Litchley's next recommendation was the waterfolk, those musical experts for whom we had prepared Wozzeck. Yes. The stage is set as a tavern where Wozzeck sees Marie dancing with the tambour major. The audience consists of one lone Zaid who sits in silence.
dann zieht in Umzug über Rheinländer, Mann und Weib, Mensch und Vieh. Weib, Weib, das Weib ist heiß, ist heiß, heiß. Wir an ihr Herren, fest an ihren Leib, und sie lacht dazu. Liebe ist heiß, verdammt! Ein jeder aus der Faust fliegt ein zu reinen grünen Wald. Halli, hallo, halli, hallo.
The Zaid Audient, driven by who knows what impulse, jumps up, seizes the baton from the conductor, and sings the part of Andres.
Tante, lieber Tante, was hast du gedacht, dass du die Hannigen schon an die Vogtlein hast gehört? Ja, lustig ist die Jägerei, all wie auf grüner Wald. Halli, hallo, halli,
The Zaid Audient abruptly stops the orchestra and speaks. Literally translates.
He's unfavourably impressed. This essentially is his reaction. He has noticed a large number of clumsy mistakes. The singers, a word I don't understand. Grasik. Whatever it means, it's something the singers do when attempting to guide. The whole sequence wouldn't move from north to west. He complains that the musicians sit too statically. He thinks they should hop, yes, hop and jump. He has set his fee at 600 flashlight batteries. If this is not paid, he will infect the Phoebus with approximately 10 million of his infants.
Phoebus is once more in space, in Dame Isabel's cabin, where she is once more suffering space sickness. Captain Gondar is also looking unwell. He has dark shadows under his eyes, and his skin has a yellow tone.
I dislike to impute malevolence to anyone, and somehow I cannot read animus into that terrible set of circumstances.
Probably not. A misunderstanding more than likely. Faulty communication. What a farcical chap that Litchley. Utterly incompetent. He frankly admitted his incompetence in the language.
You should take more exercise, Captain Gondar. Even in this age of biological miracles, we must cooperate by keeping the blood moving.
A short while ago, I mentioned a civilized and cultured planet called Yan.
Yes, I remember distinctly. To visit the planet would entail an onerous detour.
Some small distance, perhaps. A matter of veering off into Hydra, a civilized and cultured planet!
Captain, this planet no doubt merits a visit. But we have a schedule judiciously, even laboriously arrived at, and we simply cannot pursue every will-o'-the-wisp that offers itself. If I were you, I would consult Dr. Shand and ask him for a tonic. I feel you must be driving yourself too hard.
In my opinion, Captain Gondar's little affaire du coeur is not proceeding with rose-petal facility, as Carvart puts it.
What a heartless little wretch she is. First poor Roger, and now Captain Gondar.
Maddock is alone in her cabin when Roger enters.
May I come in? Have you eaten?
I'm not hungry.
If I only knew why you have been doing this. It's beyond my understanding. How could anyone be so beguiling, so faithless? Unless she had some overpowering motive. It's humiliating to be used.
All I can say, Roger, is that I'm sorry. Really, I am. But I'd do it again if it would help.
Tell me why.
I'm born of secretive people. All my life I've had secrets you'd never dream of.
This planet Yan is one of your secrets. Secrecy is a miserable vice. I have no secrets whatever.
You are indeed an admirable man, Roger. Very well. I'll tell you my secret. It's all mine now, because none of my race are left to share it. None of my race are left to share it. Yan is my home behind the stars. Yan is my home. Yan is my home. I'm not Welsh. Long, long ago, my ancestors had brought Atlantis to a high peak of civilization. They sent a ship of space and founded a colony on Yan. After many thousands of years, they sent a return ship from Yan to Earth. The ship survivors fled to Cushan and settled in remote Transylvanian valleys. Their numbers dwindle, and the last of my line. I want to return to Yan. For as long as I can remember, I went to sleep by this song. Sleep, baby, sleep. Remember your home. Yan is your home. Yan is your home. Norway is watching. You'll come to no harm. Sleep, little babe, behind the stars. You'll come to no harm. Come to no harm. Come to no
I'll help you as best I can. I can't lose something I never had. I'll talk to my aunt.
Roger leaves Maddox's cabin and enters Dame Isabel's cabin.
I know you consider me a wastrel and credit me with little judgment.
Do I not have reason to do so? You brought that dreadful woman aboard the Phoebus. She has disrupted the entire tour.
Yes, quite true. Her motive for wanting to visit this particular world is astonishing.
I do not wish to be astonished. I've had enough surprises. I suppose in simple justice I must speak to the wretched woman. Where is she?
Maddox enters. She talks earnestly to Isabel. Isabel rings for her steward.
Please tell Captain Captain Gondar to step in here for a moment, if you'll be so good? I have decided to convey Miss Roswin to the planet Yan.
On planet Yan, ship's company assembled on the edge of a dense forest.
Perhaps the traditions of your people were incorrect.
This can't be. All my life I've planned to visit the city.
It's getting dark.
Nothing but ruins. I'm hated by everyone aboard the ship. They think terrible things of me. And now they think me a fool as well.
Maddock walks off into the forest.
Maddock has run off into the forest.
Roger curses and follows. Back under a hail of rocks.
Evil is here. We must leave and put yon far out of our mind. They see us and envy. They envy, knowing themselves what they have done to yon. They will attack the ship. We must leave at once.
The Phoebus scuttles rapidly through space, now nearing Rolaru. Dame Isabel is standing by her desk in her cabin, attended by the increasingly shifty Captain Gondar and myself.
The Rolaru inhabitants are friendly?
Friendly? You saw the Ninth Company. Did they seem unfriendly?
No, of course not, though I have always considered their abrupt departure ungracious in view of our efforts. I believe you stated that you had photographed the planet?
Did I say that?
Yes, during our original negotiations.
I don't recall.
I would now like to be shown the photographs. There can be no possible reason for further caution. These are hardly informative. You have nothing depicting the people, their cities, their architecture, their rituals?
No, I did not take the camera from the ship.
The inhabitants gave you a hospitable greeting? You seem a trifle uncertain.
Not at all. Although hospitable isn't quite the right word. They accepted me without much interest of any kind.
Weren't they surprised to see you?
Difficult to say. They showed no great interest in me.
Did they show curiosity in regard to Earth or your spaceship?
No, not to any great extent.
Gondar sidles out of the cabin, leaving Isabel and I to ponder his evasive and enigmatic remarks.
One would think them a stolid or stupidly introverted people, were it not for the evidence of the Ninth Company to the contrary.
Suddenly, Roger Wool, Appling and Henderson burst in, holding Captain Gondar as a struggling prisoner. Roger holds the gun he has taken off Gondar.
Perhaps you'll tell me why you chose to act in this fashion.
Certainly. I suddenly became anxious to leave the ship.
Please conduct Mr. Gondar to his cabin. Make sure he has no further weapons. Mr. Henderson, you will see that a suitable lock is attached to the door.
Gondar is frog-marched out in handcuffs.
Mr. Appling, we will land at Rlaru. We will land at Rlaru at the original site. I see no reason to be intimidated by Mr. Gondar's ambiguous hints.
Phoebus lands on Rlaru. On planet Rlaru, a golden haze of late afternoon, tranquil and beautiful, though permeated with a sense of remoteness and even melancholy, like a scene remembered from one's youth. Rlaru inhabitants inspect the ship, then leave.
Odd. Their lack of interest is almost insulting.
Did you notice their physical characteristics? Extremely manlike, yet in some subtle, almost indefinable manner, not quite men.
What, in your expert opinion, would seem an appropriate work to perform here?
I find it difficult to decide. Frankly, I had expected a far different cultural complex, an ambiance considerably more lively and sophisticated.
My feelings exactly. There seems an aimlessness here, a lack of purpose, as if people and landscape aren't exactly real. Perhaps archaic is the word I want. Everything exudes a redolence of something old and half forgotten.
Both of you seem to have evaded the question.
I evade because I am at a loss. I talk, hoping to stimulate an idea into existence. But I have failed.
Why not Fliegende Hollander or Parsifal? Either of these would be suitable. Of course, there is always a risk of tedium, especially for persons not imbued with the Wagnerian mystique.
I consider it a calculated risk. The level of musical sophistication is high. We must not forget this. Good. This evening we shall perform Parsifal, and hope that the sound of the music will attract an audience. Andre, please see to bringing out the requisite sets. Bernard, perhaps you would be so good as to inform Sir Henry and his people.
The crew set up the Parsifal set, the cast assemble, and the opera commences. Rolaru dancers appear and mime a reenactment of their enslavement by Gondar, while the cast stand helplessly frozen in place. Gondar is magically spirited from his prison by the dancers, bound and gagged, and carried out prone and shoulder high in a solemn procession. Are compelled to sing the wrong words. Dumbfounded, cast and crew return to the ship. Dame Isabel confers with Bickle.
It is beyond my understanding. We have no further business here on R'Laru. We will leave in the morning.
What of Adolf Gondar?
It is clear he committed a wrong against these people. Clearly he had been warned never again to approach R'Laru. When he did so, he was punished. His fate is out of our hands.
Could they spirit him out of his cabin? Through the solid walls of the ship?
Why not? It is amply clear they brought the Ninth Company back from Earth. Why should they not extract Mr. Gondar from his cabin?
It is beyond my understanding.
Mine too. We have no further business here on R'Laru. We will leave in the morning.
Roger and Paddock are left alone. They watch the dawn on R'Laru.
This is such a soothing place, Roger. So calm and quiet. I've been extremely wicked, Roger. And you've been very kind to me. I'm ashamed, truly I am, truly I
Don't let's talk about it.
But I must, it haunts me. Now that it's over, I can see myself for the monomaniac I was.
I'm sure you didn't mean to hurt anyone.
Maddock walks off.
Wait! The only effect of this business is the state of my reflexes. I feel like a laboratory rat. A laboratory rat. When he presses a green button, cheese comes down a chute. Green button, cheese. Green button, cheese. Until suddenly pressing the green button gets him only shocks and edgets. Shocks and edgets.
What if, little mouse, asked you to press the green button just once more? Just once more, and promised nothing but cheese.
press the green button. Cheese, cheese, the green button. Press 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 the green button. Little mouse, promises, little mouse, promises, little mouse, promises, promises.
The Phoebus returns to Earth, limping back along the space lanes. At last we return to Mother Earth to face the scheduled press conference with a crowd of eager journalists.
Beautiful couple together there. Great stuff.
And to show off Maddox's enormous engagement ring.
Contributed to the culture and understanding of all those before whom we performed.
There were various levels of comprehension. Corresponding to what I call the cultural perspective. The cultural perspective of the people who formed our audiences. They learned much from us, and we from them.